Under the canopy of the Bodhi tree, disciples sat in contemplative silence. A cooling breeze tempered the mid-morning heat. One disciple, restless and troubled, spoke up, breaking the calm. "Master, how can we find peace in this chaotic world?" The Buddha, his voice like a gentle stream, replied, "Peace is not something to be found outside. It resides within." He paused, letting the murmurs of the forest fill the silence. Before continuing, "Let me tell you a story. There was a time," he said, "when I sought answers among the cacophony of the world. Driven by longing, I wandered through bustling markets, amidst shouts and calls, searching for a glimpse of truth and clarity. The noise engulfed me," the Buddha recalled, "leaving my mind tethered to the chaos and distractions around me. As I walked aimlessly," he said, "I came upon a quiet river, its waters flowing gently and serenely. The sun gleamed on its surface, the reflection rippling with each passing breeze. Offering a moment of stillness, I sat at its edge," the Buddha said, "closing my eyes and surrendering to the soothing whispers of its flow. The world's noise didn't vanish," he continued, "but something remarkable happened within me as I listened. I began to perceive the river's voice, growing clearer, rising above the clamor, persistent and steady." "Ananda," began the Buddha, his voice steady, calm, and resonant, "your question strikes at the heart of human longing. A universal pursuit indeed. The river taught me," he said, "that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness within. When we cease to resist the noise, we open ourselves to the whispers of our own inner peace." One disciple questioned earnestly, "Master, how do we hear that whisper amid the shouting of our own minds?" The Buddha's face softened, his gaze profound. "It requires patience, practice, and surrender," he answered simply. "Imagine a clear mirror," he said. "When it is covered in dust, it cannot reflect the light around it. The dust represents your thoughts," the Buddha explained. "By letting them settle, the mirror of your mind clears. In that clarity," he said, "you will see the truth and hear the silence that has always been there." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, punctuating his words, as if the forest itself bore witness to his teaching. "Do not attempt to force silence," he continued. "Force only strengthens resistance. Surrender allows stillness to emerge." "The river didn't ask for my attention," he said, "nor did it demand silence. It simply existed, flowing. Like the river, your peace is not distant," he said. "It flows within you, waiting to be noticed." The disciples sat in quiet reflection, the weight of his words rippling through the depths of their understanding. One disciple asked, hesitantly, "Master, what if the noise within us seems insurmountable, unending, and all-consuming?" The Buddha smiled gently, his voice soothing. "The noise may be great, but it is not greater than your spirit. Your spirit," he said, "is vast, like the sky. The noise within is but a cloud passing through it. Acknowledge the cloud," he continued, "but do not let it define the expanse of your sky. The river taught me that peace cannot be attained by running from noise, but by embracing stillness in its midst. As the river flows unwaveringly amid its surroundings," he said, "so must your peace flow amid life's turbulence." The disciples closed their eyes, picturing the flowing river, its endless rhythm echoing the teachings of their beloved master. Minutes stretched into eternity as they sat, cocooned in the profound stillness of the Buddha's words. When they opened their eyes, the sun had set, and the stars began to sprinkle the sky with light. The Buddha stood, his calm presence radiating a quiet strength. "Peace is not found," he said. "It is uncovered. It is not outside you," he concluded, "but within you, as close as your own breath, as constant as the river." With those words, the Buddha turned towards the forest path, his robes swaying gently in the evening breeze. The disciples remained absorbing his teachings, letting the river's whisper echo in their hearts and minds. Another day, beneath a golden dawn, the Buddha sat with his disciples in the quiet embrace of a forest glade. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine and the faint rustle of awakening leaves. A disciple, troubled and hesitant, spoke, "Master, we seek the silence you teach, but the storms within us grow relentless." The Buddha, his expression serene, gazed at the rising sun and replied, "Storms are natural, but they are not eternal." He paused, his voice carrying the weight of gentle certainty. "Let me share with you a memory from my path. Before enlightenment," he began, "I wandered in search of truth, my mind restless, burdened by fears, doubts, and longings. In those days, the noise within me was deafening, a ceaseless storm clouding my vision and peace." The Buddha recounted. "I sought to silence it," he said, "by force, by resistance, only to find the storm growing stronger, fiercer. My attempts to quiet my mind felt like struggling against the mighty wind. Futile and exhausting," he explained. "One day, I took shelter beneath the canopy of a great tree during a tempest. Drenched and weary," he said, "as I watched the storm unfold, I marveled at the tree's resilience, bending but never breaking before the wind. I realized," the Buddha continued, "that the storm did not diminish the tree, nor did the tree fight the storm. Instead, the tree endured, rooted and unshaken, allowing the storm to pass in its own time." He reflected. "The insight struck me deeply," he said. "To face the storms within, one must stand like the tree, steadfast." The disciples listened intently, the vivid imagery drawing them into the essence of his teaching. "The storm is temporary," the Buddha explained. "It roars, it rages, but it cannot last forever. Just as clouds dissolve to reveal the clear sky, so too do the mind's tempests dissipate when left untouched. The key," he said, "is to observe, not to react, to let the storm pass without feeding its strength." The disciples nodded, their own storms mirrored in their hearts, yearning for the clarity he described. One spoke, "Master, when the storm overwhelms, how can we resist being swept away by its fury?" The Buddha's gaze softened, his voice steady. "Resistance fuels the storm. Acceptance and presence dissolve its power. The storm thrives on your reaction," he said. "Each thought, each emotion adds to its strength and chaos. Instead of resisting," he continued, "breathe deeply. Anchor yourself like the roots of the tree, steady and calm. Let your breath be your anchor," he said, guiding you to the present moment, away from the storm's grasp. "Notice the tempest," he said. "Feel its winds, hear its cries, but do not identify with it. You are not the storm," the Buddha said firmly. "You are the vast sky, unbound and infinite above it." The disciples closed their eyes, imagining themselves as the sky, expansive and serene, holding the storm within its embrace. The Buddha spoke again, his voice like a soothing river. "In stillness, the storm reveals its impermanence, its fleeting nature. Do not fear the storm," he said. "It has no power to harm your essence, your true self. In the stillness of the sky, in the quiet of acceptance, lies the silence you seek," he explained. The disciples opened their eyes, their hearts lighter, their minds beginning to grasp the wisdom of his words. The forest seemed to echo his teaching, the gentle sway of branches and chirping of birds a hymn to serenity. The Buddha rose, his presence radiating calm and strength. "Remember, storms will come, but they do not define you. Stand like the tree, rooted in your truth, and let the winds of the storm pass without fear. Be the sky, infinite and serene, holding both the storm and the peace that follows," he concluded, as he walked away. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, the storm within them already starting to fade. Another day. Beneath the soft glow of twilight, the Buddha sat beside a lotus pond with his disciples gathered closely. The moonlight danced on the water's surface, reflecting the delicate blooms of the lotus. Radiant and pristine in the night, a disciple spoke earnestly, "Master, how do we nurture the silence within us? How do we ensure it endures?" The Buddha, his voice gentle, pointed to the lotus. "Look at this flower. Its purity emerges from the muddiest waters. The lotus," he said, "is not untouched by its surroundings, but it rises above them, its essence untainted and pure." He paused, gazing at the pond. Before continuing, "Let me share a story of my time beneath the Bodhi tree. I sat under its shade," the Buddha recalled, "seeking truth as the world around me teemed with activity and distraction. Children played nearby, merchants bartered, birds sang, and the winds carried the hum of life in all directions." He explained, "My surroundings were anything but quiet," he said. "But amidst it all, I anchored myself in the rhythm of my breath. With each inhale, I drew myself into the present moment," he continued. "With each exhale, I released all distractions. In that moment," the Buddha said, "I understood that silence is not the absence of noise, but the presence of mindfulness. The lotus taught me that peace can bloom even in adversity, rising above chaos without succumbing to it," he explained. The disciples listened attentively, their eyes fixed on the lotus, their minds absorbing the wisdom of his words. "To nurture silence," the Buddha said, "you must anchor yourself in the now, letting go of the past and future. Your breath is the root of your silence," he continued. "It grounds you, just as the roots anchor the lotus. Without roots, the lotus cannot rise above the mud," he said. "Without mindfulness, silence cannot rise above noise." The disciples contemplated his words, the image of the lotus resonating deeply within their hearts and minds. One disciple asked hesitantly, "Master, how do we find strength when the mud threatens to pull us down?" The Buddha's gaze softened, his voice steady. "Strength comes from acceptance and detachment, not from resistance or denial. The mud is part of life," he said. "It feeds the roots, but it does not define the bloom. Embrace the mud," he continued. "Let it nourish your growth without clinging to you. As the lotus remains untouched, to remain untouched," he said. "Cultivate compassion and understanding, both for yourself and the world around you." Compassion opens the heart, the Buddha said. It allows the lotus to unfold, revealing its beauty and truth. The disciples nodded, their hearts warmed by his words, their minds picturing their own inner lotus blooming in the mud. The forest seemed to echo his teaching, the gentle rustle of leaves and the faint croak of frogs adding harmony. The Buddha spoke again, his voice like a gentle breeze. "Silence grows when you water it with mindfulness and compassion. Like the lotus," he said, "your silence will rise above the noise. Untouched, radiant, and pure. Let your breath be your guide," he continued. "Let compassion be your strength, and let acceptance be your root. Peace is not an escape from chaos," he said. "It is the bloom of stillness within the heart of it." The disciples closed their eyes, envisioning the lotus rising above the muddy waters, embodying the teachings of their master. The Buddha stood, his presence calm and strong. "Nurture your silence, and it will guide you through the noise of life. It will shine like the moonlight on the lotus, illuminating your path and bringing peace to your heart," he concluded, as he walked away. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, the image of the lotus and its silence etched in their souls. His arrows missed their target because his focus wavered. The disciples exchanged glances, sensing the depth of the parable unfolding before them. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.